Hello and welcome back to
Convo with Lidio and
Hello
Rowan.
and welcome back.
On
Hello,
hold,
hello,
on
hello,
hold,
and
hold.
welcome back. Hello and welcome back to
Convo with Lidio and Rowan.
Hello,
Lidio
welcome
and
back.
Rowan.
Hello,
Lidio
welcome
and
back.
Rowan.
Hello, welcome back. So this week I am reminded of a lesson I learned years ago about disappointment. So I think this week was a very busy week. There was a lot that has happened. Yeah, but what got stuck with me is the notion of disappointment. And it took me back to a time where I was really taught a very good lesson about trying to avoid disappointment and also taking accountability for disappointment. So let me tell you the story. So now, okay, it's years ago, and at this time, I think it was still, okay, I think I was young. It could have been like 12, 13, 14 years ago. So it was a while. I was still a bit young. In my 20s, obviously, and learning my biggest lessons. You know, that era where you learn stuff really quickly. So then there was something happened to me, and for me it was very confidential. I felt that I didn't want people to know. I felt that it was a secret, and I wanted to manage it that way. Okay, so then I decided to tell a close friend of mine, because at some point I felt I want to share this with them. So I decided to tell a close friend of mine about the situation, which I believed was confidential or was a secret. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like those things you think are universal, that if I tell you something in this way, you must understand it's confidential. I'm telling you, I don't know why I think I know, guys, you know what I'm talking about. It's like there are things where when I tell you, you can even see with the way I tell you, either it's the whisper, the eyes, or how I tell you that, yeah, this one is not for everybody. This is just for me, and I'm privileged to have been told this. So that was how I handled it. So I told her, and it was quite clear that this is confidential, well, to me, and the way I told her. But to my surprise, it was not treated that way by her. So in a few weeks' time, I realized there are other people that know about this, and this one person told the other, and the one person told the other, and the other said, listen, I know about this, but I'm not the one, I heard it from here. So I realized that this story has been going around. And I knew very well who I had told. And I knew the tone or the sentiment in which I had told them. And in my head, the expectation was that they will keep it private, or they will keep it confidential. So obviously then I was very disappointed, called her, asked her, how could you? I told you this in confidence, and very angry, very disappointed. I just was shattered. The trust, I felt it was broken. I didn't know how to handle it. It was just, I felt like, when you feel like the earth must just open and swallow you. Because I mean, really, how could they? Coincidentally, at work, there was a training session that I was attending, and they were teaching us about responding to a trauma scene. So, for example, if something happens like a robbery or something, if it's a trauma situation, how do you walk into that space? What do you do? How do you handle the people? And what you need to keep in mind, that some people, this may be a trigger of a past trauma or whatever, so their reaction can be different, etc. So I was attending a training session that talked about such things. So in that training session, the facilitator actually alluded something to disappointment, but obviously I didn't think it was going there. And I was sitting there at this very same time where I was disappointed with this, very, very angry at everything. So when he spoke about disappointment, I was readily there to share, to say, I mean, this is how currently I'm feeling. This is what has happened, because he asked what happened. I said, this is what has happened. I trusted somebody with information, but I made an assumption and I thought they understood that it was confidential, and I'm disappointed that they didn't treat it that way. And now the information is out. I am so disappointed. How could they do this to me? Then this facilitator asked me, did you say to them that this was confidential and they shouldn't tell? So I said, no, they're my best friend. I mean, and the way I told her meant that, don't tell. I said, okay, first of all, you were not clear with your expectations, that you don't expect her to tell anybody. Secondly, what type of a person is she, this friend of yours? Maybe give me an example of their character. What type of a character are they? So I said, no, it's a person who's out there, loud, speaks to everybody. So they are a very outgoing person, very talkative, etc. And it says, okay, sometimes, then we asked if I think they are a person who would be good at keeping secrets, not even good, but are they capable of keeping things to themselves, or something to that effect? And I said, probably not, but I still expected that it's me. I've known them for so long, and they're my best friend for a reason. They should be understanding what is the code here. And I think the facilitator made me realize that actually I'm at fault. I misjudged this person's character. I over expected things. I didn't articulate my expectations, but I still placed my expectations on her. And when she didn't respond in that way, and when she didn't keep the secret, then I was disappointed and angry at her, at a promise that she didn't make to me, and a commitment she didn't really make to me, at a judgment that I had made that was really incorrect with information that I have. So quickly there, I realized that, okay, I was at fault. I didn't express my expectations clearly. I just maybe downplayed her character. I expected a lot just because it was me, etc. And it helped me to heal quickly, to accept the situation, and to kind of forgive, because I realized that actually she is how she is, and that's why I love her so much, because of that character. Unfortunately, I placed a burden on her about this big secret of mine to actually handle it, and didn't put expectations. So I made a misjudgment, and that made me forgive, and actually just take accountability myself of what I had done and how I got into this situation. So thinking about this takes me back to the topic we spoke about last week around people changing, and that sometimes people will celebrate you for changing, but others will criticize you for changing. And I'm thinking probably this is also it. It's kind of like a disappointment situation, because now what we are saying is somebody had an expectation on you for you not to grow, to remain the same, not maybe not to grow, but for you to remain the same person for a long time, or for as long as we are with them. But they don't tell you that, hey, I'm marrying you today, but you know what? I don't expect you to change a lot. And when you do change, they get disappointed and confused, like, why you disappointed? Why did you change? Actually, they place an expectation that is not there. You didn't agree. You didn't commit to this expectation. We see it a lot in parenting, where parents expect their children to become a certain way. You want your child to be a doctor, or you want your child to be this good person. You want the child, like, there's these expectations that we place that we are not articulating, or sometimes we're articulating but by force, and it's not really something that the kids are committing to do or that they will give us. And when we don't get that, we get very disappointed in what really in the kids, and we get angry at them when we punish them and we do whatever. In the meantime, we are at fault here because we are the ones that created those expectations or have those expectations that we've placed on them. We see it in relationships and marriages and friendships, where, again, in one of my conversations, I spoke about asking and making offers again. You have a person that you're always helping out, and you sit with an expectation that when you need one day, they're going to come through, and they don't. Because there is no commitment there. There is nothing. We are just placing expectations on people. And when they do not act according to how we expect them to act, we get disappointed and angry at them. We even stop talking to them, or we stop calling them, or we stop hanging out with them, or all sorts of things. Like, we become so dramatic around the situation. In the meantime, poor person is confused. Or, by the way, what did I do? What went wrong? What have I done? Because I don't understand what I've done. I don't get it. Meanwhile, it's me. I've been having these high expectations, or have placed these expectations, have not communicated any of them. And when I don't see the action, I'm disappointed. I stop talking to you and all of that. So I think it's a reflection on me. I'm not sure why it's coming in as a reminder for me, and reminding of this incident, and the way I had to learn the hard way in terms of making sure that I read signs correctly. People kind of like show you who they are. I think as people, we are either in denial or something. I don't know. It's like, I'll talk marriage again. You marry a guy who's maybe playful, likes to drink, and you're like, hi, they'll grow up. When they grow up, maybe when 10 years later, they're going to become this and this and this. Did they say anything about growing up? I don't know. And then we get disappointed when they don't. Guys, I mean, I can tell you so many examples about how we expect people, we place expectations on people. But I believe you understand what I mean. And it's just to share with you this lesson, and to reflect on your own times when you were disappointed, and really try and understand who was at fault, really. Was it the person, or was it you? People tell you who they are, and we decide and we choose not to listen. People show you who they are. If a person starts to abuse you, you're thinking they're going to change one day. If a person shows you that they are this and they are who they are, we kind of like want to have our own expectations, where we're saying, hi, this is not it. Maybe it's just a stage. I don't know what we say to ourselves, but we have a lot to say, to make excuses about what people are showing us, whereas they are really showing us themselves. And before we commit ourselves, whether you commit to a relationship with a person, or whether you commit to a conversation with a person, or you commit to a friendship with a person who you can see right now how they are, I mean, before you do that, just try and understand them as what, take them as what and who they're saying they are at the time, and work with that. If they change, if they grow, if things change, then yes, that's a plus. You're going to get surprised, but yes. But for you to be expecting something else from them, you marry a girl who tells you, I can't cook, and you expect that they're going to grow up and teach and learn to cook or something. I don't know what we are hoping for. I don't know what we are hoping for. But I think it's just to reflect. When were you most disappointed? And I bet you most of the time you were at fault. You placed expectations. You didn't communicate expectations. Or maybe you communicated them, but you were not very clear on expectations. Or you were communicating them, but it was not an agreement. It was a one way that you were saying, articulating your expectations, but not really getting a commitment from the next person that, yes, that's what is going to happen. whether it's about a secret, whether it's about behavior, whether it's about anything that you are setting up. First, check you. Did you do the right judgment? Did you read the person clearly? Are they capable? Where they do they even show you at any point that they're capable of delivering on that expectation? And see where that goes. I bet you a lot of people you're angry for that you're saying have disappointed you never really were at fault. You were the one that got yourself in that position, and you were the one that got yourself disappointed by this whole situation. And if you're brave enough, forgive them. And if you block them, unblock them. Because I think we are trying to grow up and account for our own actions and start to use our words, our conversations, and fix our relationships. So if you're brave enough, you can let them know that actually it wasn't your fault, it was mine. I was just angry at you for something that actually I should have known better about. Can we do that? So, yeah, that's me this week. Share your stories about when you were disappointed, why, how, or where you took accountability for that. I would like to hear your version of the story, or maybe also share more light into my story. Is there something I didn't do or could have done better? That would really be great.